You're familiar with Newton's law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Look, this applies to foreign policy as we're seeing right now, but even more to our economy. And while the price of oil skyrockets, or seemingly skyrocketing on the futures for these Middle East attacks, it's the perfect storm because the dock workers union, 50,000 people, as we talked about yesterday, decided not to come to work today because they wanted a 77% raise. Any idea why this union was so emboldened as to shut down half of America's shipping ports? Because the same guy who loosened all those sanctions on Iran said this.
I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better.
And guess what? Our economy may be screwed, Joe. This is the guy who Joe Biden handed the reins over to.
I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized?
Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means.
Man, real tough guy. Same guy. Also, that guy right there, $900,000 salary last year, not to mention his retirement benefits. The same guy, while he was acquitted, was wrapped up in a massive RICO charge with the mob. And according to the New York Times, he recently enjoyed a 76-foot yacht. This is who's holding American supply chains hostage right now. You know what, though? The ports, they offered a 50% wage increase over 8 years. And Harold, that guy, said no. So, Mr. Daggett, Harold Daggett, the question I have for you is, do you want 100% of your people employed at 50% increases, or do you want 50% of your people employed at 77% wage increases? Because that's what's going to happen. It happened to UPS, and it happened to the United Autos Workers Union. Every single time there is a massive pay spike, massive layoffs follow. Look, walk into your boss's office right now. Demand a 77% raise. Sure, look, I would love a 77% raise. But if I walked into my boss's office and demanded it, he'd probably tell me to take a hike. If I was lucky, he would ask me, well, Carl, are you adding 70% more value to the 5 p.m. hour? I mean, I would hope I am. But he would be right to ask those questions. He would be right to dismiss me. The question to this union should be, how are you going to become 77% more efficient than you were yesterday? Because otherwise, these increases are not feasible. The margins just aren't there. Yeah, I mean, look, yes, shipping companies have been making more money recently, was one of the complaints of the union. But how did they make more money? Oh, by replacing crew size with technology, automation, because it's more efficient. This union is demanding that that never happens as part of this contract, which is not realistic. What they don't realize is that they are not negotiating from a place of power. We did the math yesterday. The amount of money they are asking for in raises is greater than the cost in 1 year, year one, to automate 14 of the main affected ports. Look, I'm not against a living wage, but many of these guys are making north of 150, 200. Some of them are making over 400K a year, and they're going to hold an entire country hostage to get more? That won't float well on Main Street. They signed up to do a job, these longshoremen. And yes, they do something that is very important. Nobody's denying that. But that doesn't entitle them to act like mobsters and hold the American economy hostage. There's people trapped and dying after a hurricane who desperately need supplies in order to survive. I would not be surprised at all if every port involved takes a page out of Ronald Reagan's book and says, go back to work or you're all fired. And then a bunch of them automate a ton of positions. And if that happens, when 80% of the longshoremen are out of a job next year, possibly, I want them to take a look at the reason why. And when 100% of the country is having trouble finding their goods they need for their family, look no further than that union boss, Harold Daggett.